One of these was a waste of money, one actually changed how I play, and one I'm still trying to figure out. I spent thousands on gear I didn't need, built 4 gaming setups from all the stuff I bought, and after 8,000 hours just in tactical shooters, I finally figured out a pattern. Some upgrades help, most don't, and the price doesn't tell you which is which. By the end of this video you'll know exactly where to spend and where to save. I use 3 questions now before any purchase, and I'll walk you through each one and show you how they apply to real gear. Starting with a question that would have saved me the most money. First question I ask before any purchase: is this solving a real problem or just a feeling? Now, a real problem means something specific is broken. Your mouse literally skips on your pad, your current shape gives you hand cramps after an hour, you can't hear footsteps that other players clearly react to. Now, these are real, you can point at them. A feeling is different, you watch a review, approach switch to something new. Maybe you saw Tans or Donk getting a new mouse and said to yourself that you need this. You look at your setup, it looks outdated, nothing is actually wrong though, you just feel like you need an upgrade. So here is a fast test. Can you describe the problem in one sentence without using the word better? Now, my mouse shape cramps my hand after long sessions. That's real. I want a mouse that feels better. That's just like a feeling. Now, feelings aren't wrong. You can buy stuff because you just simply want it, but don't expect it to change your gameplay. Real problems affect performance, feelings just affect your wallet. Now, even when I had real problems, I still wasted a lot of money. The problem was real, I just paid way more than I needed to, and that gets us to question number 2. What's the actual gap between what I have and what I'm buying? Not the gap you imagine, the gap you can measure. Now, GPU first, since that's the bigger purchase most people consider when trying to upgrade their gear. Let's say an RTX 5090 versus an RTX 4070. Now, let's look at Valorant at 1080p low settings. Both cards push over 400 FPS stable. Your monitor caps at 240, maybe 360 if you went high end. Now you're gonna pay 3 times more for frames you literally cannot see. The performance gap exists on paper, the usage gap is simply zero. Now look at where GPU actually matters. The 5090 handles encoding without dropping frames, while the 4070 struggles. That's a real gap for specific use case. If you stream, play single player games at like 4K resolution, or any task demanding a really good GPU, the price makes sense. If you don't, you're buying headroom you'll never use. Now monitors tell a similar story. I look at response data from Hardware Unbox and also rThings across 30 panels when I try to get a new monitor. The difference between a $300 IPS gaming monitor and a $600 one, it's around half a millisecond in response time. Meanwhile, the jump from a 60Hz office monitor to that $300 gaming monitor is like 8 to 10 milliseconds saved. 20 times more improvement for half the price. So there's a pattern in these numbers. I'll show you exactly what it is when we get to the real gear recommendation. But first there's a third question, because even with a real problem and on a real gap, I still wasted money. So here is the third question. Am I fixing what's actually limiting me? This is where real money gets wasted. The problem is real, the gap again is real, but you're fixing the wrong thing. And I see this constantly, especially on my Discord channel. There's a bunch of people spending like $200 on a new mouse and a mousepad combo. Premium stuff in their eyes, a real upgrade from what they had. But their desk is like 3 inches too high. Their elbows floats around, their wrist anchors weird, and after like 4 hours their micro adjustments just fall apart. Not because of the mouse, because of the desk. To back this up, there is a bunch of research that shows desk height alignment drops aim consistency 5 to 10% in long sessions. That's not a gear problem, that's a setup problem, and no mouse can actually fix that. Now here is another one. Someone upgraded to a $60 gaming headset, still can hear footsteps clearly. They think they need better headphones, but their audio is running through a motherboard output with zero EQ. The source is the problem, not the headphones. A $20 DAC would fix it, the expensive upgrade doesn't. Same pattern with the mousepad. Someone buys a cheap mousepad because you think it's good enough. 3 weeks later it feels different. Humidity changed the friction, now his flicks overshoot. And instead of just changing the mousepad, he decided to change the mouse. Now here's how to check. Before you buy anything, ask what is actually the ceiling right now. Not what's fun to upgrade, not what looks cool, what is the weakest link if everything else was perfect. Now most people skip this, I did, and I always upgraded the exciting stuff first and wondered why nothing felt different. Now let me show you how this plays out on real gear. So let's start with mice. A real problem or a feeling? A shape issue is real. Cramps, unstable grip, those actually matter. Wanting lighter because you saw a review is just a feeling. Now what's actually the gap? Sensors are all in the same performance class now. The real gap is shape and weight, and also wireless. It really depends on why you need wireless for. 90 grams to 60, you will feel that. 55 to 47 is just a placebo for most people. Now is this your ceiling? Almost never. Nobody's stuck in plat because of their mouse. Get a shape that fits and just move on. Next we have GPU. Now be honest, what problem are you solving? For competitive gaming, GPU is almost never your ceiling. Valorant is CPU bound, for example, and CS2 also cares more about CPU and your RAM speed. Check your frame times in fights before spending $2,000. $10. Now again, different story if you play or stream 4K single player, then the gap is real because you're using the extra power. Now here's the pattern I mentioned earlier, look at mice and GPU. First big jump gives you the most performance. Everything after that costs way more for way less gain. That's true almost everywhere. Almost. Because audio is different. Gaming headsets have actual technical limitations. Large drivers, inconsistent manufacturing, boosted bass that mods up the mid-range where footsteps live. So I tested directional accuracy across 3 setups. Gaming headsets gave me left or right, budget IMs gave me angle within 30 degrees, mid-range IMs gave me vertical positions to heaven, hell, upper side, lower side, stuff like that. Now, is audio your ceiling? For a lot of people, yes, and they don't even know it. If you're missing information other players react to, nothing else fixes that. This is the exception to the pattern. The gap between bad audio and good audio stays super big, and actually getting a fix is super cheap, $50 to $80, and that's it. And this changed how I think about the whole priority order. Now, the last thing is premium stuff is not a scam, just not what people think. You're buying refinement, better materials, cleaner build, and that has value if you actually value it yourself. Just don't expect your rank to change. Buy it if you want it, just buy with clear eyes. So after running those 3 questions on everything, here is the priority order that actually makes sense. First, you always have to prioritize the frames. If your PC drops below your monitor refresh rate in fights, nothing else matters. Doesn't matter how good your mouse is if your game stutters when you peak. CPU and RAM usually, GPU only if you're like GPU bottlenecked, which in competitive games you're probably not. Next we have consistency, your surface and your setting. If your pad changes how they feel every few weeks from humidity or wear, you're building muscle memory on something that keeps shifting. If you're still tweaking sensitivity every other day, same problem. Lock it down, stop changing things. Also, if you don't have like a mouse bungee, just get something wireless. Wireless at this point is cheap and good quality, so get rid of the friction from the cable. Next we have information, audio. If you can hear what other players react to, you're making decisions with incomplete data. This is where $50 to $80 makes a real difference. IMs, maybe even a DAC for better input. This is where you'll understand what you're actually been missing all along. Next we have refinement. Premium builds, weight optimization, aesthetics, all valid, all nice to have. None of it actually helps you get a better rank. None. Now most people go straight to refinement because it's the fun part, then wonder why nothing feels different. They decide to buy a final mouse on like 120 FPS with a 12-year-old SteelSeries QCK Plus and wonder why they're still stuck in gold. Now here is what I want you to do. Drop your setup in the comments, current specs, what you're thinking about upgrading, and your budget. I'll go through them and tell you what actually makes sense, what order, what to skip, real answer based on what you got, not generic advice. And if you want to learn even more about what are the most useless upgrades for your setup, check out this next video.